Hey everyone, Tim Schofield here, and the LG V40 ThinQ has been out for a good amount of time, a little over 2 months now, so it's time to do a sort of longer term review of this latest flagship from LG. I'd like to take a look and see how this kind of stands up against the competition. Of course, it is priced similar to that of the Note 9, so you can expect top of the line quality, or can you, from LG's latest flagship. Also, I do have a bit of a crack in this phone that kind of showed up, and I don't exactly know why, so I will show that up close as well. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into my over 2 month review of the LG V40. To begin, I'd like to start with some notes about design of the V40, and overall, it's a very good looking phone, very minimal bezels overall. It is light, however, that is light because it is not surrounded with any aluminum whatsoever. It's all plastic around it, and then of course, that glass back. And because of that, it gives it a less premium feel to it. I think that metal is just a more premium feeling material than surrounded with plastic. And of course, it being lightweight, you might like it, you might don't. I just think overall something lighter with a plastic feel just feels a little less premium. Also, I did not wash the back of this phone on purpose, so just after some general usage, I want you to take a look at just how many fingerprints and kind of just how gross the back of this phone is. It's definitely, just for whatever reason, seems to collect a little bit more dirt than any other glass back phone I have owned. And also a little painful to show off next to that far right lens. No, that is not a hair. That is actually just a small crack that has shown up on the lens protector, which has not affected the photos in any way, I might add. But I'm just not too sure how it actually showed up. I don't remember dropping it, anything like that. But I did just look at it one time and it was there. A bit unfortunate, but it has not affected the phone's camera quality. I really do like the fingerprint scanner on the back. It's in a very convenient location. You do have to kind of turn off the animation. You'll see when I set my finger down, it kind of pauses a little bit before it unlocks. You have to actually change the animation in settings to make that go a little bit faster, and it not having that animation, which seems a little counterintuitive. You should go directly to the home screen as soon as you place your finger on. LG is also one of the few companies that includes a headphone jack still, and not only do they include one, it is a very good quality one. So if you like to listen to a lot of music through your headphones, this is definitely the way to go. Even their speaker quality is also very good. I've been very impressed with how loud the bottom firing speaker paired with that earpiece. Now they aren't front firing, unfortunately, but considering it's bottom firing and earpiece, they get extremely loud and they are very good quality. Worth mentioning, this does have wireless charging, as all flagships should have. The V40 has a 6.4-inch 1440p OLED display, and overall I'm a fan of the quality of this OLED. It's not quite at Samsung's level, but it still is a very, very good phone. Of course, with it being OLED, blacks are completely black, so when you do have an always-on display like this phone does, it looks great. And yes, there is a notch up towards the top of the V40, and no, LG does not call it a notch. If you jump into display settings, you will see there is a second screen option. Not only a second screen, a new second screen. Now there are some options, I will give them credit. No, they don't call it a notch, but they do give you options at least where, hey, maybe you want it to actually cover up the entire notch. So by software, there, the notch is now gone. On the V40, you can completely get rid of it. There, I go back home. You can tell it just looks like there isn't a notch. So you can get rid of it via software, but they also allow customization options where you can kind of change the coloring. If you want to go with a more rainbow look, you can also change how the app corners look. Here are the two options with the app corners. So a very subtle difference, and of course, just a lot of color options. Now for me, when it comes to the notch, it's a bit of a nuisance. Of course, they needed to put these two dual cameras somewhere, but eventually with the notch, you do run out of some space for notification icons, which can be a little cumbersome. And then of course, it does kind of jut into full screen videos and gaming. When it comes to battery life, the V40 has a 3,300 milliamp hour battery, and overall, the phone does get me through the full day. I get about an average of 4 hours and 40 minutes screen on time, but that still leaves me wanting a little bit more in comparison to other flagships out there. This kind of falls behind, especially at the price point it's at. You expect top of the line battery, but you don't get it from the V40. Yes, I can get through a full day barely, but then that's really about it. If I forget to plug it in at night, it's going to be dead in the morning. When it comes to performance, like every other phone with a Snapdragon 845, it handles everything I throw at it. It's a great processor for the year. Qualcomm did a good job with it. Also coupled with 6 gigabytes of RAM means RAM management does the trick. They have not been over aggressive with killing apps. Things run smoothly. Now let's do a little bit of multitasking here. Let's say I wanted to, I don't know, go into the camera, snap a couple pictures. Google Lens is built into the camera. We'll get into all that in just a second. So of course, let's go to Relay Pro, load that on up, maybe load up a post. There's all the comments that loaded up. Now I'm gonna go back home. Maybe try one more thing. So let's say we wanted to load up the Twitter timeline. There we go, it's loading it up. Now let's go ahead and swap all the way back to Odyssey. And it's just right back into the game. So I've not had an issue with things prematurely closing or closing when not needed. And of course, performance has been great. In the US, unfortunately, the only model you can get is the 64 gigabyte model. Luckily, they do include a micro SD card slot, but if you're looking for more internal storage, you cannot get it, at least within the US, which can leave you wanting more, but again, they do give you the option for the micro SD card. I'm just saying in comparison to other flagships, they offer higher internal storage options, so kind of keep that in mind. That can just be a personal preference of yours. So let's take a look at the camera app on the V40, and I'm actually a pretty big fan of it. It's an easy layout to learn. Now overall, if I snap a quick picture, it gives you a quick shortcut to actually share it, and once that goes away, you can tap on this arrow, and it gives you suggested apps. So it's actually, once you take a picture, if you want to share it right away, it's very simple and easy to do so. You don't have to actually tap on the picture to share it. Down at the bottom, instead of having to scroll through a bunch of options, you just have 4: Google Lens, portrait mode, triple shot, and AI camera. And if you would like to go to all of the modes, there's a specific mode button, which I like. I like how they do that, actually. I don't like having to scroll through all of those because that can take some time. And then you have a manual mode, not only manual for photo, but a manual for video. So if you do like to take videos, this is definitely fantastic that they have a manual mode. I do like the idea of the triple shot, but after using it for a while, so what happens is you'll see here, I will take the ultra wide shot and I have to hold it steady while it takes all 3. Now I wish what would happen is it would take the ultra wide shot and then stop and ask me to recenter for the next lens, take the picture, recenter for the next lens, take the picture, because overall I find that a lot of the shots I take with the different lenses, I don't necessarily want to have in the same position. If I'm gonna zoom in, I'm gonna kind of reframe it. Same with the ultra wide too. So I kind of wish they had an option where it would pause during the triple shot so I could kind of reframe depending on the lens that it has. And yes, I just have to revert to manually doing it. So if I go to regular shot and then a telephoto shot and then an ultra wide shot, just tap on those trees right there. And you'll see here with the ultra wide, you could just get so much more into the shot. And here's just some of the pictures I've taken with the V40, and like all other flagships out now, in good lighting scenarios, you can expect to get a great shot just about every time. Sometimes they can be a little over-processed depending on what it's taking a shot of. And also I noticed overall it might underexpose some shots just a little bit too much, not crazy by any means. Now, when it gets to the lower light scenarios, it will start to struggle. It's not on par with other flagships out right now. Again, you do have the versatility of all 3 lenses, including that ultra wide, which can just get a lot more. Here's one of my favorite shots of just a building, including the surrounding buildings. So when it comes down to it with this camera, there's a ton of versatility, a ton of options. The shots that you take overall, the point and shoot shots that you do take, could be a little bit better, especially in comparison to other flagships out right now. However, the general user is still going to love the shots that they take, and of course it does have manual mode if you'd like to use that. Something else I would like to talk about that's really hard to show off on camera is the vibration motor. There's a noticeable difference when going from a different Android phone to one of these LG phones because they have one of the best vibration motors in their phone. The haptic feedback is really nice. It isn't quite at Apple's level. Apple has had the best vibration motors in their phones for a long time now, but it still is up there as one of the best aside from Apple's phones. And of course, since this is a longer term review, let's go ahead and check and see what version of Android this phone is on, see how updates have gone. We're gonna go to system updates, and it's completely up to date on Android 8.1.0, which is not the latest. Android 9 Pie is the latest, so it is unfortunate that over this amount of time they have not rolled out the Android 9 Pie update. That is definitely something noteworthy and something to keep in mind when purchasing this phone. Also, of course, because I know I've been making the comparison, the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 has not received the Android 9 Pie update either. LG also has a skin over Android. Now, overall, I find that the skin isn't very obtrusive. You'll see you do have your Google cards on the left side of their default launcher. There is a bit of a theme. You can kind of customize it to your liking. If I jump into settings, you will see extensions right here where you do have some added features, which do add some cool things, including context awareness. So it knows if you're at home, if you're going away from home, so you can do things such as turn Wi-Fi on or off, Bluetooth as well. One that I actually use, and just about the only one I use, I like to manually set these things, so I don't use them personally, but they are there. But when earphones is plugged in, I have it open up Spotify, which isn't always the case, but most of the time when I plug my headphones in, I'm probably gonna wanna open up Spotify. There's also shortcut keys. You can double press the power button to open the camera, which is standard. However, when the display is locked, if I press volume up twice, it will actually open up this capture where you can go ahead and write a quick note if you're writing someone's phone number, anything like that. Or of course, if I press volume down twice on the lock screen, it will open up the camera. And of course, the V40 has a specific button for the Google Assistant right here. Now, if I go ahead and just press it once, it will go ahead and open up the Assistant, wait for me, or I can just press and hold it, and while I hold it, talk into it. So, what's the weather right now? And let go and it'll stop listening to me, which is pretty convenient. Also, if I double tap the Assistant key, it will open up Google Lens, which is very handy and nifty to have as a shortcut. Shout out to LG for not trying to make their own assistant and just including the Google Assistant, so thumbs up for that. I will say overall, I probably prefer the Pixel Squeeze to activate the Google Assistant feature in terms of functionality, so I don't accidentally press this button, which I really don't do that often, to be honest. So when it comes down to the LG V40, essentially it just leaves you wanting a little bit more, especially after all this time. You're still wanting more battery life, you're wanting a little bit better camera, you're wanting that Android 9 update, which has not come yet. And it's just a little bit frustrating, especially at the price point that you pay. It just kind of falls behind other flagship options that you have. Now, don't get me wrong, the V40 is still a very good phone. I just wish it was priced a little bit lower than it actually is, and especially at how it was at launch. If you have the choice between the Note 9 and the V40, you're probably just gonna go with the Note 9 because you do get a lot more for your money. So that's just about everything I wanna talk about for the V40. I hope you enjoyed the review video. If you did, drop a comment, give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe as well. A lot more videos coming very soon. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.